want to start by seeing who's here. I see Tony, Sarah, and Daniel, and everyone else is a name or a picture. So if you are game to reveal yourselves, thank you, Yael. I appreciate that. And I want to know who's here and who is an internet ghost with a picture, if you're willing. If you're not willing, I think I can accept, but with difficulty. What's up, Amy?
I'm here, but tending to my mom at the same time. So I'm going to be in and out.
Copy that. Okay. And thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Katrina. Nice to see you. So I would like to follow Daniel's lead there by asking how I'm doing. And I was sharing. And I would like if we could each take a minute, introduce yourself, say your name, and say how you're doing. And it's sometimes nice to say where you're calling in from. So I'll start. Maybe we can give each person 30 seconds to a minute. There seems to be a small enough number of people that this feels like a reasonable thing to do. So is this cool with you guys? Does anyone object to this approach? Okay, seems like it's cool. All right, so I'm David Sauvage. I live in upstate New York as of recently, but I'm currently in a friend of a friend's apartment in Los Angeles, California. And I said how I was feeling, but it's changed since 20 seconds ago. And now I feel really curious. I'm really curious who's here and what's going to arise. And I'll call on you. Sarah, why don't you go next?
Sure. My name's Sarah. I'm here helping Daniel with the back end of the event. I work for the Center of Social Innovation. What exactly did you want us to share again? I'm sorry.
How are you feeling?
Oh, easy. I'm feeling so open. I was able to, in this experience, be here for the whole event and just watch it kind of inspire and speak so many truths that I hadn't totally felt before. So it's just been a really wonderful heart opening experience so far, and it's been really wonderful connecting. The networking session, especially in the beginning, kind of opened me up very nicely for the rest of the day. So also very curious. I'm so intrigued by what Daniel shared about your work, and just super ready for an experience like that.
Thank you, Sarah. Tony.
Hey everybody, Tony Bacigalupo. I'm here in Upper East Side of New York City, and what am I feeling right now? Generally feeling in pretty good spirits. I feel a little bit of a pit in my stomach kind of tightness, which I often feel around this time of day when I feel like I'm just not getting enough done, whatever enough means. And I'm definitely feeling that, feeling a little bit of pressure, but otherwise excited. And on the off time, I'm working on my workshop for all of you for tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with all of you.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you for bringing in something unpleasant or negative that is just as welcome as things that are joyful and positive. So thank you, Tony. Yeah.
Hello. I feel like the apple that dropped on Newton's head. That's how I feel. It took me almost 28 years to find other human beings that I feel comfortable with. So I'm at home. That's how I feel.
Beautiful. Where are you calling in from other than in motion?
Oh, I'm in
You're in where? You're in New York. Awesome. Thank you, yeah. Patrick.
Howdy. So I am a Connecticut, but right now I'm cat sitting in Washington Heights. And I was just like, I feel distracted. I feel distracted because I'm still setting my place, and nervous because I normally try to keep a routine on days I'm gonna be hosting a thing, and I have a writers community, and it's tonight, and yeah, I feel, but I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. Kat, TYC.
Hi, Kat Tice. Kat's my first name, last name is Tice. I am calling in. I'm also, well, you're not upstate, but I am also, I'm upstate in upstate New York right now in Hudson. We should talk. And how am I feeling? Okay-ish. And Tony, I totally relate to the pit in the stomach feeling. Mine is a little calmer today, but I'm very familiar with that knot.
Thank you, Kat. Patrick, Tony, and Kat all alluded to a feeling of anxiety around productivity. I wonder how widespread this is. Is anyone else just raising their hand feeling anxiety around productivity right now? Oh, yeah. Borderline universal.
I wouldn't say it's productivity. It's when a variable throws, I know there's going to be a variable, try to keep things the same. And for me, it's a comfort thing. Like I have attention deficit, so I like to set my environment in a way that I don't have all this, zapping electric energy around me. Like it's just of a one, and it's not of a one yet because I just moved in yesterday. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. And thank you for correcting my misrepresentation of your experience. I appreciate that. Amy.
I'm appreciating the feeling of knowing there's like another person's energy kind of holding me and the space right now. And in that, I'm starting to feel my sadness and like a depleted feeling. Like I'm going many miles an hour out of necessity and didn't realize how tired I am. It's like I know, but it's like just having this moment of slowing down and not being in charge of something for a few minutes feels really good.
Thank you, Amy. And I'm really happy to provide you that relief, or to provide you the space in which you can experience relief, to be more precise.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Katrina.
Hi, I'm in Long Island currently, and I'm feeling, I'm actually feeling a little bit grateful to be called on camera because I've been multitasking all day and my attention has been split 12 different ways. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be present maybe for the first time since early this morning. So.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us here in the present. It's nice here. There are other people really here too. It's really cool. Jasmine.
Hi, I left and came back, so I'm not sure what everyone's doing right now.
You're introducing yourself, you're saying where you're calling in from, and you're saying how you're feeling right now.
I'm Jasmine. I'm calling in from Detroit, Michigan. We do the ham thing in Michigan, so I'm in here. And right now I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed because I stepped away for the first half of the conference and got 50 emails. But other than that, I'm fine.
Thank you, Jasmine. Damien.
Hey everybody. Yeah, my name is Damien. I'm calling from New York, Brooklyn specifically, and yeah, I'm feeling really inspired. Just been really grateful for not just hearing the deep sort of political, social, kind of systemic sort of conversations around social innovation, but also just like a lot of heart and emotional sharing too. People sharing their personal experience. I find it very easy to talk about social innovation and talk about it from these very pragmatic levels, but to feel and see so much space for people to share their emotional and even somatic experience has been really inspiring. So yeah, feeling grateful as well.
Thank you, Damien. Everyone else is hiding their picture, but I'm going to call on you anyway and see what happens, or hiding their video. Rachel N.
My video's off. Hold on.
It is.
Was on. Hold on. No.
There you are. Hi.
It was off, and then when you called us earlier to step into it, I stepped into it. Whew. I'm Rachel. I'm in Los Angeles, and I could probably take out, or not take out, but I could receive a sentence from pretty much what every single person said, and kind of edit it and then give it back, or own it. I fortunately don't feel anxiety, but I do feel very different than if I was in person at this type of thing, and very focused on being present in this. So I also really appreciate you asking us to show up on, on video, because I think if we, and this, I'm not speaking to anyone else, for myself, this seems like one of the more important things to be really, 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 really present for myself, and also for everybody here, and for what I believe is the most important right now. So that's a gift. And again, I would want to point out what everyone said, but I'm going to go with Amy, because you said, I don't want to, whatever, but what I took in what you said is that it's nice that somebody else is in charge of something that you can show up for. So what that was for me in my language is I'm just really surrendering. For me, just really surrendering to hear. And I also have no idea I don't even know what the topic, I'm just in the unknown, and I'm listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. I feel like sharing the topic. The topic is healthy decision-making in community. And we're starting by going around and feeling into who's in our little community here and how they're doing and where they're calling in from. And I've noticed one of the themes before we move on to the next person is presence and distraction. And while you were talking, Rachel, I knocked over a glass of water on this desk that doesn't belong to me by a bunch of electronics owned by the host at whose apartment I'm staying. So I'm going to take the next 20 seconds where we're all just going to take a break, just so that I can address this, so that I can be present. So stand by for 20 seconds.
I appreciate that so much. The cat has knocked over many things during this, and I just let go. I release that.
It's great to have everybody here. Lovely to see your faces. It makes me feel warm and connected. And David definitely has a calming presence. I feel like I've been jacked up, and here he is again. So I'll step back.
All right. Thank you for that. Now I can be present. My initial instinct was to do what I think most of us would have done, which is just to pay 60% attention while looking for an alternate solution. And I opted for the complete detachment and coming back. And I want that to be the model for this session. So if you're here, be here. And if you're not here, that is equally okay, be not here. But what I don't want is half here. Michael.
Hi all, my name is Michael. I'm calling in from New York City, and I'm doing well. Good to be here. I also identify as an empath, so I just joined in to hear the discussion.
Thank you, Michael. I am perspective. I am perspective might not be on. So we will move along. Catrice.
Hello.
Hi,
My name is
Catrice.
Hi, my name is Catrice. I'm from Philadelphia. I'm feeling tired, but that's not really rare. My constant state is tired because I have a health condition that fatigues me all the time. So I'm falling into my energy slump for today. But my mind is still active and aware. So even though I'm physically tired, my mind is still open to learning and growing.
How would you, thank you, Catrice. How would you feel about coming on video? Is that possible for you? And if not, that is okay.
I feel more comfortable without video.
Okay, thank you, Catrice. Claire.
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm calling in from Sacramento, California. And today I'm feeling motivated, I guess. Yeah, a little tired. The weather's a little weird here for Sacramento in June. So trying to like get a little bit more energy, even though it's kind of humid and overcast here right now.
Thank you, Claire. And I think our last person, Susan. Susan, your iPhone is here, but maybe you're not. Well, we tried, Susan, and we tried I Am Perspective, and it is okay. And Daniel, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling more grounded now that you're here. And I was pretty jacked up with a lot of adrenaline from the last few hours. And yeah, this feels good to be grounding in. So, and dropping into my heart. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
And
All
just
right.
real quick, since you did try us, we had to step away for a second, but doing great, David. Thank you much.
Awesome. And where are you calling in from?
Calling in from New York, New York.
And what is your name? I Am Perspective.
My name is Joe Rell.
Joe Rell.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe Rell.
Thank you.
So my plan is to give a few minutes of talking around some principles that I believe in and don't hear very often that I think might be worthwhile to learn about how to make healthy decision-making in community. And then to do a mini exercise where we attempt it. And the first thing I want to say is what I mean by a community. And it's a word that we hear all the time, and it's a slippery term, depending on who's using it. And the way I think we're getting used to hearing it is a community is a bunch of people who share something in common. And that's the way we've gotten used to it. That is how businesses tend to define it. And that's all the way over here on the loosest definition of community. And then over here, we get somewhere where a community is a group of people who maybe share a similar goal or intention. And we can feel something tightening there. It's getting more meaningful. And then over here, a community is a group of people who are dependent on each other. And now shit gets real. And so community can span anywhere from all the way over here to all the way over here. And I would like to look at community as a community is a group of people who are depending on each other for something meaningful. A group of people who are depending on each other for something meaningful. That's going to be our working definition of a community here. And I'm just picking that definition. It's no more valid than any other definition, but I think that definition is a good opening for how to look at healthy decision-making in community. Because it matters and the stakes matter. And for a decision to matter, people have to care and it has to be meaningful. So Daniel mentioned a little bit about my backgrounds, and I'm titled as the empath. So I'm going to say a few words about myself and then dovetail that into my principles of community decision making. And the gift that I've been working with for the last few years and making a career out of and having fun exploring is my by no means unique ability to feel into what other people are feeling. I'm adept, as many other people are here on this call, at listening to other people, both with my ears and with my body, to really intuit what their experience is. And where I am, I think, particularly adept is that I can articulate it. So I'm good at feeling into things, and I'm really good at putting it into words. And in my work one-on-one, my mission with individuals tends to be to get all of the different pieces of each person integrated into a coherent story. So people tend to need help when we have all these different parts of ourselves that are not congruent. I want this, but I need that, but what about this and what about that? And then people can spin out or shut down. But when we can integrate all of these different pieces or feelings or parts of ourselves into a story that feels good for us and true for us, then we get to move forward in our lives, or backward or sideways, in a way that feels whole, that integrates all of us into the party. And that's how I see my work as, quote unquote, the empath. And I think this same principle holds for healthy decision-making in community. The old model of decision-making, the one that we're most used to, and the one that still applies 80% of the time, is that whoever is the most powerful person in a given community makes whatever decision they believe serves them or the group, with the minimum amount of feedback from people who are affected by it. And that's our dominant model of decision-making in our world. And it doesn't feel really good for most people. And the reason that feels really bad for most people is because people are getting left out of that process. And so we're starting to shift a little bit further over, where healthy decision-making in a community is when we take into account people's perspectives and then make whatever decision we feel is best. And that feels a little bit better. This is the new corporate model of decision-making. It's still ultimately who's ever in charge makes a decision, but they go anywhere from making lip service to listening to other people to make that decision, to actually really listening and trying to integrate that perspective. And that gets us toward healthier decisions, but still something is left out. And one of the great spiritual principles or psychological principles, forget that word, psychological principles, is whatever is not integrated into a decision-making process for the individual will bite you in the ass later. So if you have a deep intuitive sense that something is wrong, and then you push it down in order to make a decision, whatever that deep intuitive sense that something is wrong, you can be 100% sure that it will come back. And that same principle applies in the collective. So if you have a group of people and somebody's getting left out of that, you can rest assured that whatever which is being pushed away will then need to be reintegrated later in order for everyone to feel ultimately good about the decision that is made. And so we go further down the path into healthy decision-making is a decision that integrates what everyone says they want or need. Healthy decision is a decision that integrates what everyone says they want or need. Democracy attempts to do this. And then even further than democracy would be consensus-driven decision-making. And that means that a healthy decision is one where everyone agrees. And that's good as far as it goes. And it's going to tend to lead to more inclusive and healthier decisions among a community than any of the other models so far, if we can spend the time. And then there's the farthest extreme, the absolute ideal and gold standard of a healthy decision-making in a community, and one that is achieved almost never, but when it is achieved, feels like catharsis for everyone. And that is a truly healthy decision-making process integrates not just every individual's desires, wants, and needs, but all of the pieces of every individual. So all of the disparate pieces of every individual and all of the individuals are all represented in a decision. Does that make sense? And if you make a decision having integrated all of the individual pieces of all of the individuals, then that decision, by definition, meets the deepest needs of everyone involved. Cool? Got it? Yeah, Yaya's applauding with emojis.
David,
Yeah.
is it possible to like say that just that last one again,
Yeah.
or put it in writing? Like, I know Daniel's been putting a lot of writing, but I feel like
Yeah.
that
Yes, yeah.
taller
Thank-
moment.
Yes. So,
Mine a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
what were you saying, Patrick?
It blew my mind because I've had this writer collective for a long time now, and I've tried to create a consensus instead of looking for one. And yeah, I'm still.
I love that distinction.
Oh,
And I love that distinction. So the absolute gold standard of healthy decisions in a community, which we're going to acknowledge is borderline impossible to achieve in the real world in our day-to-day lives, but we can hold it out as the ideal, is a healthy decision is one that incorporates the needs, wants, and desires of every individual in that community, as well as all of the disparate pieces within any individual in that community. It does not merely rely on what people say they want or need, because what people say they want or need does not often reflect what they want or need. It actually goes deeper into what they actually truly want or need, beyond even their ability necessarily to express it. So if we can, does that make sense? Rachel, did that meet, are you with it?
Oh yeah, and that got even deeper because you said about the, going that next level where people, where the
Yes.
empath, I believe it, and I do believe that's a gift of the empath is to know that deeper, that deeper place. Or I mean, someone doesn't have to be empathic, but yeah, thank you.
Woo!
Okay.
And I have one more principle to get across here, and then we're going to attempt, we'll see whether that feels right, a exercise. When you try your hardest as a leader to integrate what people say they want and listen, that is really noble and hard work. But you are going to likely get frustrated doing it because you are going to be navigating a lot of contradictions and confusion and frustration because you're putting something together in a like this and then this and then this and then this, and you're getting torn into bits. And then you end up getting things that seem designed by committee, and you conclude that you'd be better off having made a decision from the top down to begin with. And then if you're a white man, you get all twisted into knots. So I want to acknowledge the difficulty of that we all have. But when you intend to integrate all of the pieces of everybody, then there's something that tends to happen, which is that there is an underlying guiding intelligence of any collective group that starts to emerge. When you try to integrate all of the pieces, not merely what people are saying. It just bubbles up. And that's, I think, the job here. So a healthy decision-making integrates all of the pieces of every individual such that the underlying guiding intelligence of the group can manifest and lead the way. Cool? Yeah, lots of nodding. All right. Does anyone have any questions around comprehension?
So I started typing like a fury because I was trying to remember all the different ways my group has shown up. And when you talk about the frustration part, a lot of that has come from like me personally going out of my way to individually engage with each person, to get deeper with each one of them. And I think I held this internal belief that people were so different that they all required something different, instead of ever just letting it be something open and transparent for the group to find consensus, as well as that part where you said that not everyone's able to communicate what it is they need. A lot of me keeping it sort of individualized to each person doesn't allow the group to recognize or realize things that might be universal to them. It's just that person might be able to speak it when they aren't. And so it kind of let me realize it doesn't have to be so hard. There's paths of least resistance that actually incorporate the things I set on myself to do by myself for each person. And so, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
What I think, or say something, what I think I'm hearing, and it was great what Patrick, what you were just saying too, is that instead of focusing or over-focusing on the need of the individual separately, you take all of that in, then a collective emerges of like sort of overall themes. Is that the way in which you're presenting it to a certain degree?
I like that. That integrates my way of thinking and Patrick's real world experience. So I'm going with it. When I think the thing that's coming from what we just said with Patrick is that if maybe you set your intention to actualize the underlying intelligence of whatever group you're a part of or leading, once you set that intention, things will start to unlock that guide you there. Okay. So I'm feeling like we should attempt this. And I would like to attempt this in the following way. And I want you to tell me if there's a better way to attempt it. So I would like to attempt to make a decision in a healthy way. And the question that I want us to tackle is, what is the best use of our next half an hour, or not 20, half an hour. And I want to open it up for somebody who has a proposal, and then we'll just feel into together what is the best for this group. And I'll tell you what my original idea is, and we can play with that or throw it out. So my original idea was that we would split into smaller, maybe smaller groups, in this case 2, and that we would strive each group to come up with a sentence that everyone in the group felt good about that described the group. And you could only emerge from this group when you got a sentence that everyone says, I feel good about that. Like, my body relaxes into that. That's my proposal. But I'm open to other ideas.
I was gonna have us create a praise poem.
What is a praise poem?
So it comes from African tradition, and it's a poem that captures the power of both your past, your present, and your future. And there's sort of there's a guideline to it, there's a rhythm to it, but there's a lot of space for growth, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick. Does anyone else have an idea or a sense of what the right move is?
So I I love, David, what you presented. That felt expansive and seen. And Patrick, what you presented felt beautiful and made me want to do like a separate workshop with that like amazing model. But if I'm the only one that feels that way, like I'm happy to go. You know what I mean? Like it was like I thought that was like beautiful, but like bigger. And maybe it's because I'm not familiar with that process. But it just like it made me like want to do that next as its like own thing. But maybe just because it felt harder.
Thank you, Rachel. Does anyone else have a
both
feeling?
versions of being like seen as a group feel really good.
Does anyone else have a feeling or intuition or sense of where to go or preference? Okay, no. So Patrick, I also like your idea, and I'm reluctant to take it on for the group because it has an extra layer of complexity over mine, and I want to minimize the level of complexity because the exercise itself is already hard. How do you feel about that?
I agree. I thought about the time of it, and I looked over my notes from when we did it with my group, and yeah, it's something that need more space, and I don't want to limit possibility. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else have anything to add before we move toward this next step? No. Okay.
Do we want to have a theme?
What do you mean?
For the sentence.
Well, I was thinking that that we're, how does this feel? That we're looking for a sentence that everyone feels good about. How does that feel? That describes us. And I want to leave space for people who are quiet or checked out. How does it feel to you? What's going on over there? How do we integrate you or not? Thank you, Magali. Did I say your name right? Magali?
The second one, Magali. Mm-hmm.
Magali. Thank you, Magali. I'm wondering how you're doing, Michael, and how you're doing, Jasmine.
I'm well, thank you. Just seeing where this goes, but all is good.
Okay.
I'm fine. It's just kind of wild over here, so I'm just trying to not make too much noise.
It's what over here? A wild?
No, it's a little loud because I have
Loud.
a little brother and he screams randomly, so I'm just trying to keep myself on mute.
Hi, little brother.
That's my sister. There's like 6 of us. Sorry.
Oh my God. That's quite all right. Thank you. And Katrina, I can visibly see how you're doing. And Yaya, I can feel how you're doing. And Damien, I can sense your presence. And the people who are, if you are not on video, my proposal is that you are not going to take an active role in this, but if you want to chime in, that is okay. But I want to limit this decision-making process to people in video. And unless you feel differently, does anyone who's not on video feel like that's not cool? Okay. And I also want to acknowledge the possibility that there's someone who's not on video who feels like
I
that's
feel
not
like you
cool.
can talk and still be involved.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Catrice. You can talk and still be involved. Great. Does anyone else who's not on video feel like they want to be involved too? It's good for me to know. Okay, so if Catrice is not on video but is going to be involved as much as anyone who is on video, and those of you who are not on video, I'm going to assume that you do not need to be as involved unless you say so now so that I can integrate all of the pieces. All right. So thank you. So I think we'll keep it as one big group. And I think you guys will notice too that I'm threading a fine line because on the one hand, I'm working to integrate everyone's perspective. And on the other hand, I'm taking responsibility for leadership and making decisions when I feel it's appropriate. I'm looking at my job as to tune into the collective intelligence to the best of my ability and hold all of it, knowing I'm going to miss spots and that spot is going to cause some pain. And I want to acknowledge that as much as possible so that people don't feel left out, but I also don't want to sacrifice the entire experience toward doing nothing other than the acknowledgement of that pain. So I'm trying to balance all of that while acknowledging how difficult that is. So as of now, we are looking for a sentence that we all feel good about that describes us. That's our mission. And I would like somebody who hasn't spoken much or yet to start us off on what's coming to mind for them.
I feel like if we keep it as broad as possible, it works. So like we're all people, unless
We are all
anyone
people.
objects and is not a person. Like that's valid too.
Oh, amazing. We are all people. Thank you, Jasmine. So that's our starting place.
Yeah, I'm aligned to that. What I was gonna say was either we can speak it from a we place or we can speak it from an I place. And I was gonna say we are or I am would be a great start to the sentence. So.
Awesome. I just want to open the floor to keep it going. Whoever wants to speak.
What do we stand for? Who do you all represent?
Was that a question?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I'll jump in. So as you can see, I'm a firm believer in oneness, firm. So if I say who I representative of, the only team I belong to is humanity. So I represent everyone else and everyone else represents me. That's how I see the world. The process of return and giving, like a cyclic thing, like a yin and yang. These things occur simultaneously and concurrently. Pain and pleasure, hell and heaven, whatever, however you want to see it, right? Duality is the perspective we need to invest in. Me personally, I think the two things can exist and coexist in the same space. And it is not for us to destroy it. It is for us to understand that we do not understand it, and that's okay too. It's okay. That's 2 cents.
Okay.
Thank you, Yaya. Anyone else have anything they'd like to contribute toward this search toward one sentence that everyone on this call can agree on, that feels good for all of us?
I have something else, which is bigger picture values is what comes to mind. Those are the vision with a capital V sorts of values that generally, if we're on a call like this, if we're at an event like this, then we can probably get behind. So thinking larger, more meta values like love or unity or peace, purpose. That's my 10 cents.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm thinking of the word acceptance because in terms of community and even what I'm experiencing and witnessing here is that some people are on screen and some people are off and some people are more quiet and some people are more vocal. And in order to encompass all of us here today, we have to accept where people are at right now in this community. So I think acceptance, that's the word that's coming for me, somehow including acceptance in that sentence.
And also I would add, we all have a growth mindset. I think everybody who's found this place in this moment is here for the purpose of growth in some way.
Yeah, I would, I don't think it has to be inclusive of all these things, but definitely the words that are popping out are like purpose, I think really came from Magali. So like that word's jumping out to me. I think community is still, jumping out. Love jumps out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Soul.
you, Rachel. Soul.
Soul jumps out to me.
Damien, Katrina, or Catrice, I'd love to hear from one of you or all of you.
I concur with the purpose statement. Because all of us are kind of on the same page with the growth mindset. We all kind of come to our work with like a bigger purpose in mind. So I feel like purpose is a good place, a place where we can all kind of come together and build a sentence that we can all agree with, because we all seem to be here for a higher purpose, in this space at least.
Awesome. Thank you, Catrice.
Something's coming up for me also around around acceptance, which really landed. But what I'm thinking is we are all here for a bigger purpose, and we have our individual unique ways of approaching that. So there's something about accepting our individuality, accepting our uniqueness, that really is part of the whole, right? Of creating and living in and delivering on that purpose. So.
Awesome. I still have a desire to hear from Katrina and or Damien if you're game to share what's going on with you.
I'm thinking of we are becoming, like we are individuals becoming community. We're not fully formed. We're like in progress.
Thank you, Katrina. Damien, do you have anything can I ask you to offer something if you have anything to offer?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty active, engaged, present, and kind of just kind of take a step back for the overall kind of discussion. But yeah, supporting these efforts, feeling them.
Has anything resonated particularly strongly for you that's been said so far?
Not any one in particular. They're all sounding good. They're all landing.
Awesome. And Kat, you've been in and out. Are you there? Okay. And those who are joining us, I invite you to learn from this process whereby we all who are on this call in video and those who wanted to participate who are only in audio are striving to come up with a sentence that we all feel good about. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Anybody else?
I just love that talk about things kind of emerging from the individual. I love that idea of the both representing, even though we are all one, I don't always feel like I'm all one. I want to, but I don't always feel like we are. And I think that's what we're seeing right now in the earthly perspective. So I love that idea of like, that we are a community, and that like basically the macro and the micro. Based on what Magali said, like we're individual, unique, or Sarah said, I don't know, we're individual, unique, and we are like the bigger community collective as well. Like the I and the we. I like the I and the we.
So
thank you, Rachel.
How do we create that? How do we stand for that?
If I may.
Please.
So really understanding when you say we, you need to think I and we are simultaneous, right? So when we say we, you got to think of the 7.5 billion. And because we can't fathom the interconnectedness of the human mind, we need to turn inward and say, hey, how can I best treat myself or optimize? How, can you do that? And that process of self-discovery will lead me to intersect across, again, the spectrum of emotion experience with everyone else. Anger is a concept. The context by which it exists in is what really get people to live outside themselves, or like lead people to swerve in other people's lanes per se, right? So understand that it is okay. It's like we have to think globally. The one team, the oneness is a human. And you know, for me, like I was big into like animals when I was a kid, and it would always befuddle me, like how can there be we talk about biodiversity. Are we not animals ourselves? So if the concept of diversity means accepting different parts outside of ourselves, we have to do the same thing within. And if our external environment is a reflection of our internal one, as Lauryn Hill said, how you gonna win when you ain't right within? In any case, another 2 cents from me. Yeah. That's it.
Awesome. I mean, is there something to be said for like the acceptance of where I am in my becoming of we, or becoming of the purpose toward becoming a we. I don't know, something.
And
I just dropped like a random sentence. I tried to mush it all together as a place to start.
Will you read it for us?
It says that there are some slashes, some smushing things together, but the we all are purpose-driven humans experiencing our individuality, becoming community. So just a starting point.
Ooh, I need that on a shirt. Mm-hmm.
Just a starting point. I think maybe accepting could be,
yes.
Maybe we can substitute some things in there, but yeah.
I love that. I just read that. I was thinking the experience, like just the switch it, or not switch it, but like potentially accepting instead of experiencing. Accepting might be, I don't know, for some people that might be more expansive, for other people might be more contractive, but for me, I like the accepting. Experience speaks to it too. That's such a great like middle next place to read around. Thank you for that.
Thank you for putting something out there.
So I did a thing. I choose to accept that we are all purpose-driven humans experiencing our individuality so that we may become community.
I like that.
I got to get unmuted for that one.
Yes, nice.
Got some applauses.
I love that. What's coming up for me is so that we may become, I would love to have it feel more active, like now, like we're doing this, like we're creating this. So
Okay, so
that.
if I may, another Yahya-ism. Growing up Christian, I come from the Judeo-Christian background, right? So if we step away from that and we say spirituality, we come from a higher power. And if a higher power is perfection, if that source is perfection and we are made in that image, then what are we? We are not incomplete beings. We are on the process of self-discovery, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you were to take a quote unquote loss, that becomes who you are. And it's for you to step forward with new understanding of what it requires for you to keep on going. There's a term in Greek called hupomeno, right? It's a term that translates endure. And I think now it means like a class of insects or sea creatures that carry shells on their back, right? So, but hupomeno, as it applies to Judeo-Christian ideology, means to endure for the glory of God, or whatever that purpose is. So if you could say, find your...
You're cutting out, yeah.
So I was gonna say, like, find your purpose and like endure everything that comes with it, because at the end of the greater good, right? I think when we begin to divest from that path, we invest in what's called the greater evil. But that's why some people spell it EVOL, and we look at the inverse and it's love, right? So in finding and constructing your own path, you will do the same thing for others to find yours as well. It's just that simple. What happened if everyone just simultaneously decided to love themselves? What would the rest of the world look like? If we're talking about duality and like that mirror, the nature of mirror, what would the rest of the world look like? And I had a conversation with someone. What would happen if mental health was not being socialized when things are wrong with your mind? What if I could go into a place and give people high fives and hugs and talk about how we can be even more, feel even better, right? But we did have these arcades and YMCAs and all that.
I'm feeling a need to cut you off.
No, go ahead. It's not cutting me off.
Because I want to make sure we hear from others, and because I want to hear a more direct response to the 2 sentences that have been offered so far. Okay. So I also want to be cognizant of the time and that we only have a few more minutes, and I want to make a special effort to hear from those people who have been more quiet again, because we will notice what tends to happen in groups is that there are going to be always a few people who are more actively engaged, and people who are less engaged will often defer, and then something in them might contract, but they don't feel any more capacity to change things because they haven't been as engaged. And we can see that dynamic happening now. It happens all the time. And the only way to work through that is to acknowledge that phenomenon and really make an effort to both hear from those people who have detached a little bit or who have not been as active, while attempting simultaneously to respect their totally legitimate need to detach, as that can be a very natural and healthy thing for them. So I want to just make a gentle effort to hear again from Katrina and Damien and Michael, who have been less engaged.
Oh, David, I'm going to call you out on that. I have been completely engaged.
I apologize.
Actively listening. And just because I'm not speaking up doesn't mean I'm not taking an active interest. I'm holding the space, I'm hearing, I'm processing. So I like the two sentences we have. I think they're both beautiful and similar, and maybe we can just clean them up and come to some kind of a consensus.
Thank you. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you for calling me out. And you're right, you have been engaged. You have not been talkative. And that was the word I ought to have used instead. And I'm sorry for calling you unengaged.
No, fair enough. And thank you for calling me up, because I appreciate that as well.
Okay.
And I still think we're talking about acceptance here.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there.
Just you know, I think we have created. I like what we've started with, and I think I've just been hearing and feeling a lot of acceptance of where people are at in this kind of co-creation. So that just keeps coming up for me, is just acceptance.
I love that, Michael, and David, I hear you, and I know I'm the louder voice than the quiet voice. I just want to collectively bring in what a lot of people have been like writing, say this as an amalgamation and go from is and thank you so much for Magali and Patrick, but it's like the either I gratefully or joyfully, that's kind of like I gratefully accept that I gratefully accept that we are all purpose-driven humans. I gratefully accept that, I want to say this. I gratefully accept that I'm a purpose-driven human, embracing my individuality to create community now. And if people wanted the we, then it's I gratefully accept that we are all purpose-driven humans, embracing my individuality to create community now. I think there's a little bit.
Yeah, I actually love the idea. Thank you, Rachel, for that. I love the idea of taking ownership of it and coming from I. There's something so powerful in that I am. And if we're talking about, being a human, then that kind of, it encompasses the all. So that's a good sentence. I feel like I joyfully or gratefully accept that I am a purpose-driven human, embracing my individuality to create community now is an ownership statement. It's powerful, it unites, and it's fun. Like it has some joy to it. I'm complete. I just wanted to share that.
And I think community addresses the we, but again, everybody has their own experience. But I know for me, it's way more empowering. The I am statement is empowering because we're heading to the creation of the we, which is the action. I'm complete.
Awesome. All right, I think we're coming toward the end. So our last piece was, I joyfully accept that I am a purpose-driven human, embracing my individuality to create community now. And I have a reaction that I want to share as a stand-in for people who might have subtle resistances to things. And that is that there's something about the now, to me, that makes me contract, because I'm particularly sensitive to a sense of obligation. So the now communicates to me, though it might not communicate to others, that I have to do something. And then if I feel somebody's telling me I have to do something, I shell up and don't feel represented. And I have a similar relationship to joyful, because often I'm begrudgingly and don't even, I'm joyful. I'm not joyful. I want to be upset too. So I offer this very humble edit that I'm going to put now, right there. I humbly accept that we here are purpose-driven humans embracing, or that's grammatically incorrect. I humbly accept that we here are purpose-driven humans embracing our individuality, or embracing my individuality to create community. Create community. I don't mind the now if it's not capitalized. Something like that. Although that's also grammatically incorrect.
I got you.
Humbly, totally, I don't know.
No, get rid of humbly.
But maybe just accept. I accept.
What about gratefully?
Maybe.
Is gratefully still?
Gratefully doesn't trigger me as much. Humbly, and I can see joyfully too that like everything you said, David, landed. So maybe keeping it as simple as possible.
Will you make that? Will you write the simple sentence, Magali, that you can see?
I had put choose initially because this is about decision making. So I wanted it the first thing that we made a decision. And so how about
I like that sentence, Rachel.
I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
And because especially the Patrick, like that simplicity, or everybody, whatever, everybody's amazing. That simplicity.
I have a question. So I like that sentence, but when I read it, somehow I feel, rather than saying I accept that I am a purpose-driven human, I accept the purpose that I am a human being embracing my individuality to create community. That's somehow that's how I would read it.
So I have to bring this to a conclusion. So I'm going to acknowledge that we did not get all the way, that we did not yet get to that cathartic moment where we go, yes, that sentence works for everybody. And then we did not get to the place where we double check that against each one of our nervous systems. And one thing we can learn from that is that this process takes a hell of a lot of time. It is healthy decision making with a group takes a hell of a lot of time if you're going to attempt to integrate everybody. But we did get pretty far. We got to a place that most of us feel pretty good about, and we're carving away at the edges. So I really appreciate this time, this energy, this exploration, and thank you guys so much. And thank you, Daniel, for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, man. What a great idea for an activity. Really great idea. I thought that was awesome.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah, I appreciate that. How are you feeling, David?
Like a little like, what's the, like we're getting close and you don't get the release. I can only think of dirty ways of saying it.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of that, anticlimactic, you know? So I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling a bit of anticlimax, and I don't want to downplay it. We didn't get there, and almost.
But we're the, like, at least for me, I'm like, but in this scenario, I'm the virgin, so like I don't know yet what to expect. So you're like, I've done this, I've had the greatest orgasm, like etc. And I'm like, oh, but this was awesome. Like you taught me so much, and I was involved, and so like the orgy was still good.
Oh my god. It's also a perfect mirror for life, isn't it? Like that, this is the process. This is what it looks like. We may never come to that final, but if we're all working together, headed in that direction, then it can be a good time. So
I'm of a mind that nothing creative is ever done. There's just deadlines. So perfect is done. That's it. So set a deadline and be good with meeting it.
And also, if I may just jump in here too, I think, the question about that also too, maybe wasn't established at the beginning, but the overall objective. And I think that part of this activity wasn't just simply the sentence. It was also being in community and participating, engaging with each other, in which case I think we, at least for me, even though I was very talkative, I felt very engaged and interactive, and I feel very accomplished in the community that we created here.
Yeah, I also just feel the advantage of really loving where we got to too. And I know that we didn't have the ability to kind of go through and check everybody. But again, just speaking for myself, it was a wonderful journey to kind of embody what we're talking about. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, Sarah and Damien, and a nice note that I got from Rachel. And this is really satisfying to me, especially now. I'm over my my anticlimax and into the feeling good about the community that we did create here in just, you know, half an hour of work. So
Awesome.
thank you. And thank you for giving me that extra beat, Daniel. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have follow-up information for David, or like, or things or something?
David, your Instagram is Empath NYC.
Yep.
And do you want to share an email? How do you want people to get in touch with you?
Sure. You can just email me. I'll just do it. David@empath.nyc.
Does that work for you, Rachel?
Yeah. And my website's right there. Here.
So we're gonna get started in about 2 minutes. Ray's here. She'll pop in shortly. Again, we have like a nice little window for hello, Ray, built in for afterwards. So we'll probably get started between 4:30 and 4:35. Does that work for you, Ray? Awesome. I'm gonna turn off my video. I'll be right back in a couple minutes. Just have to take care of some logistics.
Okay. And I'm going to take off with gratitude. Hi, Ray. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, David.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll see you all in about 5 minutes.
So cool. That was so cool, guys. All right.
Or are we just chilling in the interim? Little commercial.
Yeah. It's a commercial break, I think.
Yeah, it's a free for all. You feel free to chat or not. You can mute and turn your video off, or take a bathroom break, or just hang out. Whatever.
David, that was really impactful. It really was. Like I love when it's so simple, right? It's so simple, and I also really appreciated learning like your languaging. And so, thank you.
Thank you. What about I'm curious. What about my language was particularly helpful? If you know.
One of my things is to become, or I am becoming, a better active listener, and I think, and leader. And I think the way that you it's kind of coaching language, but the way in which you you really create the space of everybody here is not just welcome, but truly necessary. And so you like create that challenge, but also allow for the safe space of distance if that's what's needed. And then I think you just really speak to what you were saying is the collective goal of the community. You held the gold standard, and you also shed light on the pain points. And so just really like continuing to thread that needle of, I hear you, and if we were to stay on that for too long, and not even about time, but just if we were to stay in that place, then it's like analysis paralysis. So I hear you, I see you, and you're here, and it is imperfect or evolving. And for me, that's so satisfying because I'm always wanting the underheard to have a voice. And I think that can just happen in so many different ways. And I think even being witnessed as not having a voice has a purpose. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was really good for me to hear. Thank you.
Can I jump in real quick? Because I said it in my mind, 4:30, that's when I'm gonna start prepping for tonight. But what I appreciated a lot was the forethought, because like I get setting a context, but you set the context people would most likely assume, and then you kept leveling it up so that people wouldn't think that you didn't understand where they were coming from, without having to have the back and forth of, okay, well, this means that to me. That you were like, I get it beforehand. We can spend less time figuring out the context so that we can fill more in with the content. And I appreciated that because that's normally what the conversation turns into. And a lot of it turns into a debate about context. And you did away with that so we could spend more time on what the point was. And so, yeah, I could tell you thought about it ahead of time, like, where are the most likely places for people to go with this? Let me make sure you know where I'm coming from with. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the positive feedback. It's really nice.
Patrick, that was so well said. Like, you really leveled up each time, and you're a little bit of a surprise. Like, you know, we all, like, I don't want to make, I think we all do make like preconceived notion or whatever. And I thought you were great, but then you would say something else that was better and say something, or not better, but, you know, more just deeper. And I'm going to send you, I wrote down something you said, which we've all said, but I just want to send it to you, which is that, I don't know if I wrote it right, but you said that you created the container that as a leader, you are working on integrating everyone's perspective, but also taking the leadership role and making decisions, recognizing there may be a pain of being left out and acknowledge that pain, but not let that pain limit us from moving forward. And I just appreciate all those things. And to Patrick's point, like, I just really think that you created a safe container, but to me, safe doesn't mean comfortable. And so I think that you did it by doing that thing that I just read.
Thank you, guys. This has been such a wonderful bit of positive feedback. So thank you. Thank
I'm
you.
really doing it for Ray because she misses hearing my voice.
Yeah, it's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, Lala. Right. Thank you, Dave.
Ray, have a wonderful session. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay.